morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good evening from my side to all of you who are watching this video. And this video is sponsored by Rehan Foundation and Institute of Peace, and this is Connecting the World. So, in
Mm,
this platform, my guest is Darrick, and he is a multi-talented person. He's a very good man. He has a very good soul and heart.
thank you.
So, according to this platform, we are going to learn a lots of things from him because he's from Washington D.C. and his name,
Mm,
his name is very different, and he just reflectively same like his name. So over to you, Dark. How are you, Dark?
I'm very well. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to meet Soul Family, uh, and I just want to say hi to you. Whenever I'm speaking, you and also the you that is watching this, because something important to me in this time is that because of the lockdowns, because of everything happening right now, these spaces need to become sacred spaces where we can share a real you are here present, even though I don't know your face yet. I am gonna, when I look at this camera, I will see a circle of dear friends around me that have chosen to be here. So thank you for entering the space. Just want to welcome you. And so yeah, my name is Darrick Lionijah Morrison, and I'm actually not from Washington D.C. I'm from Seattle, Washington. But yeah, the United States right now is in obviously, as you know, a huge transition, a huge moment where so much hangs in the balance. But really, so much has been hanging in the balance for the entire global family that we are, um, in a big way this year. And so myself and probably you, if you're here, if you're, I love Rehan. He actually, we connected over Facebook, I want to say like maybe 7, 8 months ago. He just kind of reached out and we started talking back and forth over voice memos. And eventually that led to us having, we had a video flow a couple times. And I love how fast he moved. He's just like, all right, you want to create like, we started talking about festivals, like kind of like, things like Burning Man, things like that, where lots of people gather in sort of a united way with an energy of transformation, with an energy of respecting the earth, with respecting each other, even if we're different, finding that heart connection and how that's missing right now. And then to take it a step further, to create festivals, whether they're digital or physical, that are devoted to solutions and solution making. So solutionary festivals was what we talked about. So that's how I come to connect to you today, is just through this like synchronistic, magical way that Rehan and I connected. And through Rehan, I see that he's really started this amazing, I love the idea that has been let loose, which is just the simple sharing of space that you're doing right now, Sidra. Just sharing a space with a new person, I don't know, every day, every week. And what that does is it allows us to be like, here's this brother, here's this sister, here's what they're working on, here's what they're calling in, here's this human, and it does connect the world, and it's jumping across borders in ways we never did before. Like, I didn't know anyone in Pakistan a year ago, that's for sure. And now there's all these incredible souls that have reached out and bridged friendships over the Facebook platform. So part of what the project I'm working on just now, actually, I'm video editing here, just working on generating content here in my studio, and right now we're working on something called Soul Tribe Weavers, uh, which is basically what you're doing right now. I consider you, based on your heart and you watching, if you've gone this far and you haven't tuned out, to be one of my soul tribe, my soul family that's around the world. And we're finding each other. There's a golden thread weaving us that's beyond us. And it can come through the digital world. So sometimes people think the digital is less sacred. And I used to think this too, because like I mean, it's a to go to be in cities and among families and see people buried in cell phones, like that is sad to have this disconnect, right? On the other hand, it can also, if it's used with a deep reverence, become a space where radical new ideas, transformation, and beautiful things can emerge. Um, so often our media has been full of fear, and it hasn't really allowed us to interact. Like, what's cool about this right now is that Sidra and I are having this conversation. You and I are we're all in I picture us in a circle in a tent right now. And in fact, I think we'll eventually have virtual reality gathering spaces that feel that way. Like, imagine right now, Sidra, if we were having this conversation in a VR room and we could see people pop in and their faces all around us, like that might be closer to a digital tribal gathering. And that's what those are the spaces that I'm here to facilitate, create. A little bit about me: I've worked in the technology space for about close to 20 years, 15, 20 years. And I've been a director at Amazon and telecommunications companies here. And most recently spent 2 years in the artificial intelligence and cloud computing space. But then when COVID hit, it gave me this opportunity to that had been germinating in me, honestly, for the last really 8, 9 years. It's interesting as you go through your spiritual awakening and you find yourself, as you see this reality for what it truly is, and you're working in a corporation, you're contributing to the thing that creates a product-based reality, an entire, in a way, there's magic spells cast upon every person in the world to believe they must, it's the indoctrination of our culture, our media, our schools. And it's like layers and layers and layers of Troy where it's just buried under there. What is the truest way humans can live? What is the truest way we can treat each other? What feels really heartful? And I think I've been on this quest for a while, and it took me up until this year, until COVID, to say, I'm not going to take another corporate job. I'm not going to do it. So I'm now making this leap. My expertise is in building digital platforms, but doing the roadmaps, building the teams, spinning them up, then passing them on as they move on to like later phases of development at different companies. So devoting this energy now to the space of tribe building. This is something that Rehan and I really vibed out on. We were just like, okay, let's talk about what does that look like? What are the we're using Facebook in a unique way, but was this platform truly designed to matchmake, let's say, people from disparate communities to each other? Like, so many people are looking for each other. Like, there might be someone watching right now that's like, oh my gosh, I work with user experience design, and I care about uniting the family, that the souls in the world that want to solve these massive problems that are preventing freedom, that are preventing like treating the earth as a sacred space, that are, we're dealing in a world where politics and business are corrupt. What if we create systems that really help regulate that and restore the ecosystem of community? So yeah, like we can find each other now, and we have, the cool thing is, for platform and architects like myself and others out there, this is like a special time in history. You can cobble together just about anything, white label existing, prototype things like that. The distance between a vision and manifestation is just smaller than it's ever been in history, in my opinion. So like right now, the fact that, anyone can pick up a cell phone like you just did, and have this kind of a conversation across thousands of miles and unite our efforts remotely is magic. It's straight up magic. And to me, that's, I want to find the other solutionaries. We're not here to complain. I mean, it's true the world's in peril. It's true that we have a lot of problems. But what if we have a lot of talent, ton of talent. So if we all can unite and have things like think tanks, right? Like this is what big foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation or the, all the sort of society designers that sit at the top of Pakistan's elite, all these things. That's what they do. They design scenario, what are we going to do? They're doing their best probably, but and sometimes not their best because they have influences, impacting them. They've been culturalized a certain way to stay in that wealthy class and separate themselves from everyone else. And the good news is I feel that there's actually a huge opportunity right now with mass decentralization. Right now, anyone can go on Kickstarter or Indiegogo and film a video on their cell phone and lay out a plan like, I would like to bring water to my village. This is how we're going to build it. We can even pay back the loan this way. Suddenly, a month later, they may have more money than they asked for. They may have, and it's not just money that these solutionaries need. They need maybe a collaborator that can build the blueprint or design or do the civil engineering for a project. So where I really am in my mind right now, in my heart, is to, first of all, hold spaces where solutionaries can come together. And maybe one of the things we need to do is design a better platform than Facebook to unite all of us and to match all of us to each other, to match make. So for anyone that's watching this right now, I encourage you in the comments section, like, is there some issue? Maybe it's in your village, maybe it's in your country, maybe it's that you've really been like, it keeps coming up in your heart. You wish it's something you'd be passionate to solve. Like if you were paid, if you were given a salary, all your living expenses were covered, what would you work on? What would you want to work on? Maybe just put it in just like if there's anything, put it in the comment section. And maybe someone else watching this totally wants to work on the same thing. And maybe, eventually what we can do is, if we have a platform that properly match makes people based on regionality, based on the focus they wish to take on an issue and their skill set. Like I could use some user experience designers to work on platforms. I could use some video editors to work with, so we can all tell this story together. Right now, I'm actually doing video editing at this moment, so that's part of my flow. I've been in the tech sphere for years, and now really jumping into storytelling, which is a big leap for me right now because when it comes to like financial abundance and everything, I can make the most money working in artificial intelligence field, and I probably will, but only for something that is going to truly liberate humanity or restore a balance. It falls into my virtues. So I think that's like to encapsulate kind of where I'm at, who I am, and what's going on right now. I'm working on a project called Soul Tribe Weavers, which is just, for now, it's just germinating. It's a film series. A group of us went, a dear brother of mine passed away just a couple of weeks ago, and we went down he was on his way to do this tribe weaving where we find other clusters around the United States of tribes that are like the Seattle family, which is amazing. We dance together. We hold like imagining sessions together. We make fires together and really invent new forms of ritual, new forms of prayer with each other, not based on a religion, but based on shared connection and the shared vision for a healed world. And it goes beyond just kumbaya and happy thought. It's like, what could we do about this water system? Someone in the group here works with a nonprofit that is reinventing water systems. Like, we're around a fire feeling this. Cool. Here's another person that builds like websites. Pretty soon you hold spaces like this, and we've been filming them in a very sacred space with a lot of respect for every person. So to film really vulnerable spaces is a new area that I'm experimenting with and learning about, along with all these other things. So it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and so Sidra, that would be my most like full answer to your question.
So nice of you for your brief answer for this. You know, it's a reality. It's a reality. We have more than two, reflexive personality. One for inner soul personality, one for our family, another for friends,
Mm,
another for our colleagues. So but I feel, according to your aura, according to your personality is very different. Here is, you are perfect in artificial intelligence.
mm,
It's a really advanced technology, and it's related to the advancement. But in your personality, I just feel some spiritual things. I just feel some, the kindness, and it's related to the soul, it's related to the God, direct reflection toward the things. So what how could you carry these things? One is the extreme level of the technology, and then other is the extreme level of the gratitude. So how could you manage, and which thing is more powerful in your
mm.
personality?
That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, for me, the heart space comes first, without a doubt. To me, life is a deeply heartful and spiritual experience. And the things that matter here are really, this is a playground and also a deep space of learning to discover your higher self, your truest soul. That's how I'm feeling. Is for me is it's and I'll speak subjectively rather than declare how it is, because every person's unique, their journey is unique, and I respect the uniqueness of every journey through spirituality, through discovering their heart, through discovering what is real to them, what's true to them. Um, yeah, so for me personally, I feel a deep relationship to God, to spirit. I don't even like the labels, because like labeling it at like God sometimes equates to a Christian God or something like that. I feel um, presence, like presence. You can call it whatever you want, but being uh, in deep reverence and connection to life, connection to self, is really the most important thing. And so everything I build in technology, all of my reaction and response to what's happening externally is also a reflection of what's happening internally in my experience. Some call this non-duality. There's different ways to describe this, but at the end of the day, life is ineffable. There are no words, like these are all touching the surface of an iceberg that goes very deep. And to me, feeling that depth is, um, I move from that place. I see from that place. And technology, for the longest time, I had this almost like, so I was homeschooled. When I was really young, I think when I was 8, we got the first computer we had. And, being a super introverted kid, with just really my siblings, and, occasionally we'd see people, other homeschoolers, but, my world became inside of computers, and building these, and, just there's an entire universe in there of creation that can happen. I think I'm creatively motivated, and I see that creative, we are learning here on this earth plane how to be creators. We are learning here how to have a relationship with um, all the infrastructure of the world. I see systems. My mind works in patterns. So that's my mind, right? But the heart is always leading it. It's like what like my family, I feel deep connection to. I grew up in a big family, And my parents are very community minded, so the average dinner was like 12, 15 people, just like people they'd met that day. uh Whatever, like just really deep community. So I'm kind of, I have a high threshold to for meeting people, being connected to people. It doesn't overwhelm me, it actually energizes me a lot. So I think, with the advent of social media technology, other things like that, it just became another playground as well to like really I mean, it's pretty amazing, right? That like I was so grateful. I've been saying it forever. It's like, Facebook, add video messaging, make not don't limit us to 20 seconds. The voice memo thing was cool. Like, it's nice to just like get as much of the spirit into the connection as possible. And we're doing it right here, Sidra. Like, this is it. The only better thing would be if everyone viewing, we could like kind of like pop them up at the bottom and see them in live form. Like, come on, Facebook could innovate a little more. I think they will. But like, we'll get more, technology can be a conduit for the spirit to move through. And I think, also technology can really rob us. Also, like, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, technology can also, um, be really, it can try to capture our energy rather than, nourish our spirit. So I often pay attention to that, the way that I use technology, the way that I engage with it. But I'll tell you this: like, there has been a lot of struggle too. Like, okay, working at Amazon, working at, this big Canadian telecom and other. I was a consultant for a while. Like, I'm used to wearing that. I have to sometimes go into a boardroom where we're talking, it's not a charity. It's about generating the maximum value from a, a product or service. And you kind of go into this rhetoric you've been taught. And it hurt my heart sometimes. Like, it did hurt my heart. And, but, we justify it because in our society, you have something in the corporate sort of culture, uh, called fiduciary duty. So, like, which means basically financial duty. So, you could be a really good person at heart and then say, "Yep, we do need to bulldoze that entire neighborhood that of shacks that sweet families are having this whole community experience in, because this is going to be way better for the company." And it's, I know in my heart that this really doesn't feel good, but that's life, and that's fiduciary duty, and I'm being good to our shareholders. So, and all the people, my community is giving me a pat on the back for that. So, they're like, "Hey man, you did the right thing." So when you're this evolving spiritual being, you might be getting pats on the back and then also feeling like, I don't know, like you're laying up at night and just like still doesn't sit right. And that's the process that starts to germinate until at some point you get to decide through this external experience, who you really are. So actually, all of the darkest scenarios, the most challenging scenarios, are they're angels. They are angels showing up for you to give you the opportunity to stand up and believe in what you believe in despite what you might be afraid of. And when life is that mystical experience, like, it changes the way it feels, even if it's you're in a corporate environment, a tech environment, a maybe you're like hustling on the streets of Pakistan. Maybe that's your reality. Like, that's really it. And you're just seeing people outside you, and you got to make this money, or like you need to provide for your mom, to provide for your brothers and sisters. And on an external level, your consciousness just believes this thing outside you is happening to you, versus like, oh, this is actually a spiritual initiation. You have infinite abundance in another dimension, and you get to be this like main character of a story that like doesn't have it all yet. You have like the feeling of limitation, and getting to lean into what, and we talked before the interview started. You asked me about my name, the spirit of the lion. And so for me, the spirit of the lion has really helped me in my life to, give myself permission to believe in this strength and this courage and this grace. It's, this gracefulness, but power, and not a power to take, but a power to give, like a power to flow and to share, and not like desperately asking for respect from everyone, just knowing that you have it, like a knowing of that. And then what happens is this, whether you're in any industry or work, or your life starts to transform. My life started to transform from that. Because I had a lot of insecurity young and those things. But to really go back to circle back into the core of your question, merging this sort of technology space with the heart space. I've been going to conferences in the artificial intelligence field for a while, cloud computing field. And then before that, it was in the virtual and augmented reality space. I ran a company called Prismic, a startup, years ago. And during that time, going to these conferences where you're meeting with other like CEOs and professionals that are like, and the conversation is like almost this ego. It's this bragging, like, what could we do? Like, we found out a way to gather and harvest all this data, which is going to be worth a ton. And our users don't quite understand the value of it yet. So we got this like really good, you just hear the Silicon Valley voice of, there is a greed that is there. There's so much talk about what can we do versus what should we do, like what is virtuous to do versus like we can make a shitload of money doing this, like, and the moral question I noticed was not coming up. And so it took some bravery to be like, raise my hand in these like conferences and these spaces to be like, what about the ethical concerns of this? We're talking about, virtual reality, harvesting the eye gaze data, all these things like that, and like basically creating an addictive platform that then harvests this data, uses it to like, when they'd imagine, the imagination was a little bit scary to me sometimes. Or in the artificial intelligence space, been part of some very interesting conversations, Sidra. So the challenge in this is to be, as a heart-centered individual, is to enter these communities and find, first of all, the soul fan. I'll always find them there, and they're like, well, I need to put up a flag, like I need to put up a, like, I'll say something out loud in a crowd of hundreds to like really make my heart known. And also I have an appreciation for highly technical individuals. I can be a total nerd at, I have a number of patents and design, I'm an inventor too, and like I can get down with like really brilliant technology, like as a tinkerer, as a inventor. And so I have respect for that. But the shift has been over the last 10 years into like, let's wield this power, because it's a lot of power, especially with artificial intelligence, Sidra, like and whoever you are, like right now as we have this conversation, I guarantee, like, the reason that StreamYard is free, I'll bet you anything, they're running machine learning algorithms and dissecting our sentiment when we say different things about different things and selling that to advertisers that aggregate all that data. So there's a whole surveillance capitalism side. There's a whole, like, when you really zoom out and look at the map of what's driving things, it's not the social good always. It's not the ecological good. It's not the unification of like, hey, our planet, we're on a tipping point. We're like going through an unprecedented time during these lockdowns where people are dying, people are afraid, governments are, tipsy. So it's the time. They're not going to do it. Look, like the playbook is not in the leader, like in the traditional, at least in America, right, in the United States, we're finally facing the fact that this whole circumstance is really well designed for people, the thousands and millions of people that are actually brilliant here and have been kind of like looking up and waiting and like kind of like moaning about the way leadership's doing things, to actually step up and start just taking initiative, finding ways to solve things that are in alignment and in virtue. And when something is done well, like if you present something like, here's a new deal for Pakistan, and it's really well done, it's got video content, it's got like a whole website where you can navigate the plan, let's say. Like, leaders, okay, there's ego going on. What about, what is the plan? That is the way I'm feeling right now. It's like, let's talk about plans. What are we gonna do? And then let's vote on that. And then whatever leader is there is a servant to that execution, just like it is in the business world. Like, let's treat this a little, it's about doing what's right. It's about doing what's right for the people, all the people, not just the wealthy people, all the people, so that the whole, and it will benefit them too. They'll live in a nation of happy people that are all built like the greatest in the world, like to get inspired about that vision rather than this scarcity mentality where everyone's, that scarcity mentality is in the tech world too. It's like, give back, like give, do things that are going to really be empowering and honest. Be honest with your users. Don't cram a bunch of stuff into your end user license agreement that is like really not okay. Like, so another thing I really support is digital companies having really clear constitutions. Like, what are their virtues? What is their constitution? We will never sell this type of data without like consent. We believe in consent. We believe in, transparency, like all these things, right? Like, I want to see more companies on the digital, in the digital realm, the technology field. I know my answers to your questions are going very long, but I want just to really thoroughly address this. I feel like this would be a time for people, first of all, in the tech field, to start uniting as a people. If you're a programmer, if you're a UX designer, if you're a architect, if you're whatever, any engineer, or there's probably 10 million of us, I think is the last term I heard in the world, like the last measure I heard. There's about 10 to 15 million people building the framework for our whole digital reality right now. We need to unite. We need to create a global union, because so that thing we talked about in the early part of this discussion, like fiduciary duty, twisting our arm to do something that's against our morals. We need something to, as a united front, to represent, to keep us safe in our jobs while speaking into what's right and shedding light on it, rather than just everyone hiding that. Because like what happens in the digital world has massive and far-reaching impacts. So to answer your question, how these two worlds meet, this is another part of it for me, is like tech ethics unions. We need them. We need to unite the heart space and the space of integrity with the sort of manifestation in the tech space, so that we can bring it back to this, like, because technology is not inherently some monster. It could be the most beautiful harmonic, bioharmonic, tool to expand creative possibility and manifest beautiful, beautiful things for humanity. Sajid, hey, nice to hear you. Nice to see you. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the fire. We're all gathered here in this digital dome, this tent. Just seeing you, appreciating you, and everyone else that's here and presently. This is great. So, I think there's a lot I could say about this. But that's a good starting point, I think, to share a little bit about um, where my heart is, in that space. Is just, yeah, firstly spiritual and heart driven. Secondly, technology is the sort of tool and framework that came into my life that my mind just got grasped it. And part of it is just being like an isolated homeschool nerd that like had nothing better to do but play with the computer and really get to know, really work with those frameworks and paradigms for a long time. And so, yeah, if others of you out there in the tech space seeing this, this is another place where weaving community, it's so important right now. Build community, have the hard conversations. If you're working for companies and seeing things that, it's either you're seeing things that aren't ethically good, or you just have a better idea. Take the technology, like, find each other. Like, we need platforms that help you find each other so that this is happening efficiently. Like, I assume a lot of the people that follow you are, located in Pakistan and that area of the world. Everybody, most of who I know are here, United States, Costa Rica, like this kind of the North America's regions. And so I say this to you: if you're seeing this right now, please, if this is resonant with you, reach out to me. And I wish that Facebook is not the best platform. We need a better social group and affinity group collection platform. And this is something, if you feel called to building platforms, if you I want to meet you, more platform designers, more platform developers. We can cobble these things together from so many, like, literally just libraries and pieces out there that are like it doesn't take that's what's cool in this era, is that building these new platforms is not as much work as you think. That's what's really exciting. And just like once upon a time it was hard to put a video online, you had to like know how to do it. Now anyone can pick this up and do it real easy. The same thing is happening with the development of, like, the only limitation is your creativity and a certain willpower to come together with, do the research, bring together the people that are in your immediate tribe, or maybe not in your immediate tribe, but we need like some gathering platform, right? If you have ideas on that, please connect. Uh, oh, I see from Ali, which is the best platform? You know, Sometimes the best platform is the platform where the people are on it. So Facebook is great because there's so much adoption as a starting point to find the people. But what it's not very good at is, like, I can't just put a pulse out to say, like, I'm looking for this like vibration of human that's like not about just making money. We're about um oh my god, I'm seeing all these comments here popping on screen. They're just awesome. Ali, thank you. Fluency of ideas. Oh wow, I'm feeling so much fluency in all of you. I can't wait to read through everything that's shared here. But um yeah, like, if we can be in a space where our shared fluency of ideas actually results in, prototyping and launching new things, and then adopting new things that are really built for what we need, um, that's going to be really exciting and powerful, and send huge ripples and magnify our efforts. There's some great platforms outside of Facebook, such as MeWe, right? Which has a whole constitution of ethics that will never, like, take and sell your data, that will never, they're built on a different model. Of course, we, so you have to be cognizant of, if you're doing activism, on an open platform like this, there are risks to using those platforms. But generally, if you can use the platform more than it's using you, then you're doing it with integrity. You're moving with integrity. You're moving with, at some point I just decide to trust, even though, but that doesn't mean I don't operate with discernment. And I'm not going to call Facebook out. I'm not going to call YouTube out. I'm like, hey, you're censoring people's videos. And so, like, people talking about naturopathic medicine and censoring it like it's false, like, that's not okay. I don't think that's ethical. So I'm seeing things happening that are not moral and ethical. And what we need to create ethical platforms that, just like when they formed the United States of America or many other countries, developed a constitution of ethics that, and I think honestly, this is kind of a radical idea that I've been germinating for a while, but platforms like Facebook, we need one that's not a corporation. We need one that is governed and owned by the users via blockchain certificates. Like, that's what I'm seeing. And I really want that to happen. Like, and I'm learning too to like, I'm one of those people that ideas channel through a lot. Like, I can see these platforms. It doesn't mean I can execute everything. I used to, as an inventor and entrepreneur, like hold them like they were mine. Like, that's kind of the first state. And then you realize that's your ego, and you just need to send things out, let them happen, and whoever builds it, builds it. And what's cool is like, we need new platforms that are really by and for the people. We need the people building them to be financially like able to do that work, but not turning into the next Mark Zuckerberg. Like, we need to build it from the get-go so that it cannot move in that direction. Because eventually, I've gone through this having run a startup for 6 years. You can start off with all these good intentions, and then as soon as you have board members, as soon as you have like venture capital firms invested, they start to pressure you through fiduciary duty into things that are not in alignment. So if you or anyone out there is about to go start a social platform, build that right from the ground up. Like, and to those of us looking to leap to other platforms, don't leap unless it's got the structure and constitution that means it's user owned. It's not going to, make this thing huge and then it becomes, just another, it has to be built uncorruptible. This is something the founding fathers and mothers, there's probably lots of founding mothers in America. I don't like when we like make that patriarchal connection, but like, I think that you have to build checks and balances into, if we're going to reinvent the world, if we're going to connect the world, right? I love the name of this show, Connecting the World. If we're going to connect the solutionaries, the Jedis, the heart-centered, agents of positive change in this world, let's do it. Let's be smart about it too. It doesn't mean we can be super strategic, and we can also, operate from a place of integrity and build things that we're humble enough to know that if it really goes the distance, power is going to be involved. So it's got to be structurally ready to withstand that pressure. So these are all things I think about. These are all things I think about in this era of like, and I want to be around others that are ready to mastermind. We call it sometimes a mastermind. I don't really like the word because it's all mind. We need another thing called like heart channeling, but there's also a mind out. This is all just semantics, right? But like, oh, and I think you're muted. I want to hear what you're saying, Sidra.
Yeah, it's great. I think so. It's a very brief introduction, and it's a very brief concept according to the smart era, and we can artificial intelligence, yeah, with it, how we can use this. That is a very amazing thing. And from my side, it's going to be 1 a.m. is a midnight, so I'm going to be.
Oh yeah, let's close this off. Thanks for this time.
I'm going to be, just trying to end this show because of this. Here is some restriction. Here is, my phone battery is going to be dead. Uh, but I don't want to go. But I'm restricted.
Okay.
But in the end, we learn lots of things, and you are a very good man.
Yeah.
That you have a very golden heart, and you are openly explain the very good things in easy language. Everyone can understand this thing. So in this Urdu language, Jazakallah, and the Jazakallah mean in English is thank you. I'm very grateful, and give you this reward because you give us a time and sharing your knowledge with us. So God God bless you. Take care,
Mm.
and all best wishes for you. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice day.
Right back at you, sister. So much love, and respect. Respect to you. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching this video and showing your interest through messages, comments, and emojis. Yes, this is midnight. So take care. Good night.